One of my favorite games of all time is Age of Mythology. That game showed me not only that there was a possibility that some of the beefiest people in the world could really be part bull, but more importantly, it introduced me to some of the epic tales and stories that come from mythology. In the game, you could play as a whole lot of different gods, but the ones that always stuck out to me were the Greek ones. We're talking the god that overthrew the Titans, Zeus, the ruler of the sea, Poseidon, and last, but definitely not least, the king of the underworld, Hades. A name that strikes fear into the heart of men. A god that rules the underworld with an iron fist. A simple man with a three-headed dog. A legend that now, at the peak of humanity in the 20th century, also has a game about him. Hades. Well, it's not actually that much about him, he's just kinda in it. Hades is an early access roguelike game from Supergiant Games, creators of other popular games you might have heard of like Pyre, Transistor, and Bastion. You play as Zagreus, immortal son of Hades, on his quest to escape from the underworld, fighting through many angry souls along the way. Death is a mere inconvenience for Zagreus, returning to Hades' palace each time to reflect into the mirror of night and to try again. And this game, as some of you might know, has actually been available for a while. It was released exclusively on the Epic Games Store December 6, 2018. Apparently, the developers had some deal with Epic Games, where they probably got some money on the side for being only on their platform. But that doesn't matter now, because it's officially on Steam. A brand new, early access roguelike game for me to dig my filthy claws into to tell you if it's any good. This game checks a whole lot of boxes a good roguelike game has to have if you ask me. First off, let's start with the progression system. It has a couple, some more hit than miss. Most are just currency that you can use for stat boosts or to refurnish Hades' living room. But my favorite is the weapons. I love me a good weapon-based progression system. It's one of the reasons why I love Enter the Gungeon so much. And at the time of making this video, there are currently 5 weapons in the game, 4 of which I have unlocked. There's the sword you start off with, which is pretty good for players that want to get in close. There's a bow you unlock shortly after, which obviously suits a more long-range player. A shield, which is like the sword, just better, and a spear, which is like the sword and shield, just worse. There's also the 5th weapon, which was included in the newest update, and as mentioned, I haven't tried it yet. But, judging from the wiki description, it sounds pretty fucking cool. To unlock each weapon, you need keys, which you get from fighting your way through the game, and that's normally how you unlock stuff. Each room you beat and the longer you get into your run, the more stuff you get. Now this is also how the game stops itself from getting boring after you unlocked all the cool weapons. Because after each room you've beaten, you usually get to choose a door with a reward behind it. And depending on what you choose, you might get a boons? Yeah, I don't know what that means, so let's just call it a blessing from a god. Now these can really change up your run, depending on what you get. Some for instance just boost one of your stats for that run, whilst others totally change one of your attacks. There's also special ones that allow you to get powerful attacks from that god, like this one from Poseidon that allows you to dunk on your enemies with a sick wave.
Joker's good. What a kick turn.
You can also get nectar, which you can give to different people at the palace, and depending on who you give it to, you might get an item in return. Now these items are different depending on who you give your nectar to. So you can kind of think of it like Animal Crossing. Now that's cool and all, but is the actual gameplay any fun? Well, yeah. Whilst it can get a little dry after you've gotten most of the benefits from the gods in the game, it's still really fun to battle your way through and see how far you can go. As of recording this video, the furthest I've reached is the 3rd boss, and it still looks like I have a long way to go, and more stuff to unlock. This game also has something I haven't seen in a lot of roguelike games, and that is an actually interesting story. I'm not sure if it's because I have a burning love for mythology or what, but I love all the cool characters in the game. I think they did a really good job capturing the persona of the gods, and what makes them themselves, if that makes sense.
Zagreus tells me that you surpassed her well out there. How utterly embarrassing for her, to say the least.
I suppose you're going to punish her in some cruel fashion then?
Oh, I've already seen to that, of course. You think she volunteered to deal with you? Nobody did. That's how ignoble a task it is.
Also, in my opinion, one of the coolest moments in this game was when I was in the middle of one of my runs and I just suddenly bumped into Sisyphus. So finally, I just want to point out that this game is still in early access, so the developers just keep adding stuff to it. When you're at the title screen, it even says at the bottom when the next big update is coming, which is awesome that they care so much about the players. So, for the question I posed earlier, should you play this game? Fuck yeah. Even if you're not that much into mythology, the game is worth a try. And hey, you can always get a proper refund now that it's on Steam.